Park in Wichita, where more than 600 kids play Little League Baseball. The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team is back on the court today. They take on Brazil in a quarterfinal matchup in Paris. 12:30 p.m. tip-off on NBC and the Peacock Network. The U.S. women's basketball team is back in action Wednesday against Nigeria. The Dodgers beat Philadelphia last night for their third straight win. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need your dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom-and-pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a Black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Time to get it. Hey,
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, Mississippi State Auditor Shad White is now author of the new book, Mississippi Swindle: Brett Favre and the Welfare Scandal That Shocked America. Shad White joins us to share the dramatic and damning story about the legendary NFL quarterback, Brett Favre. Again, the book is called Mississippi Swindle: Brett Favre and the Welfare Scandal That Shocked America. It is a shocking tale. We'll talk about it in our second hour. In our third hour,
you always told me I was in control of my own destiny.
We're gonna have summer on lock. You guys are gonna be very excited for what I got planned.
Seems you got a lot of free time. You might want to pick up some hours at the country club.
Why? You could use a job too. Wait, what?
Welcome to the pit.
Summer is the season of change, and it's time to level up. Your family is like perfection.
I don't want our fairy tale to end.
Sometimes looking the part is more important than what's really going on.
Come on, Smith.
Lou? I left behind basketball. That was my way out the hood. That was the only good thing in my life. And I see my son making the same damn mistakes as me, and there's nothing I could do about it.
relationships during the early stages of sobriety aren't recommended. Move on, because I definitely have.
Somehow I'm still wrong.
Because none of it feels real.
I'd hide forever, Phil. This is just how it ends.
You don't know what you want. I'm not just some druggy rich kid who ruined his life.
You always told me I was in control of my own destiny.
There's always going to be a price. That's on you.
Jordan Jones plays the character Jazz on the Peacock hit series Bel Air. Jordan comes live in studio today in our final hour. But in this first hour, two more conversations on the B side of this hour. A conversation with independent Vice Presidential candidate Dr. Melina Abdullah, who joins us live in studio today to talk about running with Dr. Cornel West. We'll talk about Project 2025 and, of course, get her take on KAMALA's VP pick. And speaking of which, we commenced today's show in conversation about what else? KAMALA's VP pick. Pleased to welcome back to this program our regular contributor, Connie Rice, to get her thoughts on the selection of Minnesota, I can't get it out, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. Here's some sound of Tim Walz just a few days ago.
You know, I said I'm not interviewing for anything. I just am who I am and put it out there. I think this is going to be really important, that the best decision and the best for the vice president to make that. So the one thing is that I'm incredibly proud of all the folks who are out there. And I'm just going to say this. Yes, I'm a bit biased on the place. I'm the chair of the Democratic Governors Association, and Democratic governors have implemented the Biden-Harris administration in a way that has improved lives. And so I think there's just that's a decision that needs to be made by the vice president, and she will make it on what she sees. And I am who I am.
Well, he is who he is, and she made her pick. Connie Rice, let's jump. What do you think?
You know, there are a lot of reasons to pick a number two, you know, and every candidate has her or his reasons. You know, this struck me as, first of all, it was a great bench. I think she could have chosen any of them. They all would have been good. But with this one, I feel like she did a base hit when she could have had a home run. And so it's good to, you know, be on first base or second base, but she had exactly 2 weeks to make this decision, when most campaigns have, you know, 4 or 5 months to make this decision. So let's just set the context, make sure we understand the frame we're in. This is a 100-yard dash.
Yeah.
You know? And normally it's a marathon. And so, you know, she had to do the vetting and everything else really, really fast. And Eric Holder did all that for her. So I have a feeling that this was more of a comfort pick. You know, who can I get along with? Who can I trust more? With whom am I comfortable? And that's fine. I think that you know, I'm such a ruthless strategist. You know, I'm looking at 270. It's like it was all about the Electoral College for my calculation. But, you know, like I said, every candidate has her reasons for picking her number two. Yeah. And you know, the Electoral College strategy would have been Shapiro, because you got to have Pennsylvania.
Sure.
The Democrats can't win without Pennsylvania, and so that would have been the more strategic Electoral College pick, in my view. But it was her choice.
Yep. I've got a few thoughts about this myself, and obviously a few more questions for Connie Rice. But in case you've not heard, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, is the pick of Kamala Harris to be a running mate. They will appear together for the first time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time in Philadelphia. They are about to start a swing state tour together all week long. When we come forward, I'll tell you a bit more about Tim Walz. His last name is spelled W-A-L-Z, pronounced Walz, but W-A-L-Z is how you spell it. Now, he has a fascinating backstory. Connie and I will get into that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
In California, the use of man-made stone is causing workers to get silicosis. Silicosis is a fatal disease caused by breathing in silica dust from cutting, polishing, or grinding man-made stone. To prevent silicosis, employers must provide their workers proper equipment, including water systems and NIOSH-approved respirators. Stop dusty and deadly practices. Learn more at worksafewithsilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed, and I'm glad about it. You're inside the show with Connie Rice, our regular contributor, as we talk about the news of the day that VP Kamala Harris has selected Governor Tim Walz of Mississippi as her Minnesota. I'm biased. I got a Mississippi conversation coming up in our second hour about Brett Favre and some serious drama with this welfare scandal. That's Mississippi in the second hour. In this first hour, Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz is the selection of VP Kamala Harris. Let me tell you just a quick bit about Tim Walz. He is now 60. He is a military veteran, former public high school teacher, six-term congressman, now serving the sixth of 8 years in his stint as governor of Minnesota, so in his second term, 2 years in. Born and raised in rural Nebraska, enlisted in the Army National Guard at 17 years of age. Spent the next quarter century serving the country, holding down a series of positions, as I said, as a school teacher, get this, first at a Native American reservation in South Dakota, then overseas in China. He became governor back in 2018. His lieutenant governor is a member of the White Earth Nation. And so he not only kind of taught on a Native American reservation, but his lieutenant governor in Minnesota is a member of a particular Native American tribe. I don't know that in the history of this country we've ever had that, a vice president, or a president for that matter, who taught on a Native American reservation and had a lieutenant governor as his partner from a Native American nation. That's unique for me. I mean, let's be clear. The Native American voting population isn't going to swing any particular elections per se. But given the way that we have maltreated Native Americans in this country for so long, it is interesting to see that particular part of his background. It is to me. What say you?
Oh, yeah. I think this guy's a little bit of a cultural maverick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he goes with his gut. He's honest. He's got a lot of integrity. He knows how to communicate well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think he can do verbal combat. not as good as Harris, but you know, he took on Vance in a lot of ways and came up with, you know, they're just weird. You know, he's the one who came up with that.
That's right.
So, you know, I don't have any question about it. He's down. He's humble. He's you know, he's very affable. He really wins people over. He's very charming in a folksy kind of Midwestern way. And you know, I don't know whether the vice president was looking for, I don't know, if she was listening to her base for this, she doesn't need to shore up her base. Her base is going to come with her. The enthusiasm and the momentum are clear. She didn't need to make a choice to shore up her base. She needed to make a choice that shored up more centrist, sort of center, right of center folks in the suburbs. And so you know, we might be splitting hairs here, Tavis, you know, but it's just interesting to me how you don't want to do any harm. You don't want Velcro. You don't want a lot of questions raised with your choice about your process. And you don't, you know, you just want to be able to come out of the blocks the way she has without any Velcro, without anything holding you back. And
you know that old adage.
Right now, it's going to be the case.
Yeah, you know that old adage. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. I mean, everything you said about this guy is true, but he or she has chosen a military vet. It's all in one guy. Let's check the boxes. A military vet, a former public school teacher, experience running a state, so he's a state executive, connection to the Native American community, affable, funny, that's clear, knows how to work the media. To Connie's point, he's the one that coined that word, that phrase, weird. Everybody picked up on his word. So he knows how to message. That's clearly important. And yet, I'm concerned. You raised this earlier, Connie, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now because I knew the box that she was in terms of the limited time that she had. And you could do a lot worse than Eric Holder running your vetting operation. You could do worse than the former, the former Attorney General. And yet, that time, to your point, is so condensed. And there's nothing to be done about this at the moment. She had to make a choice, and the time is the time. But I am concerned about what a condensed vetting process means for what we may learn later, no matter who the pick would be, Connie.
You know what, Tavis? I don't think we're in that frame.
Okay.
This is not a normal frame, and this is not a presidential election that we know of in the past. So, I mean, what in the world could come out about his background that's worse than sleeping with porn stars when your wife is with your new baby and you've got a 34-count criminal, convictions? You know, what could possibly come out about his background that's worse than what the two malevolent clowns on the other side have gotten their backgrounds? So, you know, I don't worry so much about that, even if he. Okay, so some of the Velcro is that he didn't handle a Me Too situation in his office, right? And there are a couple of other small things like that, but what's that compared to paying off Playboy bunnies to subvert an election in New York? You know, so it's a little hard for them to talk about radical and extremism when their Project 2025, the Republicans' Project 2025, is talking about pregnancy surveillance crews and stopping both the abortion pill and Viagra from being sent through the mails. Now that's a slogan for you. Just tell folks that they're going to stop Viagra from coming in the mail. You'll see all kinds of folks turn out for Kamala Harris. So, you know, I just don't think that the extremism label, the radical left label, if they let that attach to Walz, which is what J.D. Vance was saying this morning, radical left, San Francisco, radical left. Walz has some good comebacks, but they got to get out there and stop that from sticking and turn it back to the childless cat ladies and so forth.
Yep.
So, you know, I think the vetting process was too fast, but this is a 100-yard dash. Tavis, folks start voting in 4 weeks.
Sure.
We have the Democratic convention, then they're on a glide path right into the early voting, and so there's just no time. I mean, this is a 100-yard dash. And she's been brilliant, almost flawless in her rollout so far. I hope this doesn't create more Velcro. I'm hoping that it's just, you know, smooth sailing from here on. glide path.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second here, and this is my way, as you well know. I like to do this in part because I think it brings out the best in our guests, whoever they may be. It happens to be Connie Rice at this particular moment. Connie ain't got to be pushed to show her best, but I want to push her anyway. So you and I tend to agree on most things. We disagree on this when it comes to the frame that we are in. See, I don't think it's about the transgressions of Harris or Walz or anybody connected to them being worse than Donald Trump. There's no question about the fact you can't do worse than what Donald Trump has on his docket for his bad boy, his misbehavior. But I don't think that's the frame we're in, to quote you, Connie. I don't think it's a comparative analysis. I think what the Trump and Vance team are looking to do is just to point out to you that Kamala Harris and company are no better than they. They aren't perfect either. That story about Doug Emhoff last week is not good. The reference you just made to Tim Walz and his Me Too moment, and how he handled and mishandled that's not good. My point is, what all they intend to do is to blunt. It's to blunt. It's not to make a comparative analysis, because as you already know, anybody voting for Trump ain't changing their mind anyway. At the end of the day, this is all about turnout. And as long as you can show with blunt force that they have their own issues, I don't think it's about a comparative analysis. Your turn.
Yeah, I agree. There's a double standard, probably a triple standard for the Democrats.
Yeah.
Now, the other side can be grifters, outlaws, and predators, and they seem to be okay. It doesn't matter what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Steal nuclear secrets,
Exactly.
they just give them a pass.
Yeah.
Don't even ask the questions. On the Democratic side, if they sneeze wrong,
Precisely.
Biden brings hostages home, and they say he didn't get an EPA permit. It's just ridiculous. So you're absolutely right about that. I guess I agree to a large extent. It's just that I think that all of that doesn't get as much. I'm counting on the momentum of the contrast going forward versus going back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's probably the most powerful vector in this race right now, that people want to go forward. That's what you're seeing, this huge tsunami of support around her to propel her now even.
Right.
She's made up the loss that Biden had. If this doesn't prove to be a bump in the road that sticks, and I don't think it will, I think she glides into the convention. It'll still be a very close race. This is going to be decided by less than 1 million votes across 3 key battleground states. And so I guess I'm focused on that tiny sliver of voters that might turn out and still might go with her rather than him. But she could get more momentum. We'll have to see in the next 2 weeks, which are critical. If the momentum increases, then she might actually come out of the convention slightly ahead, which is where she has to be, because the Electoral College landscape is rigged for minority rule right now, which means it favors Trump.
So, to your point, I was watching my timer. I got 5 minutes. I want to cover a few more things. I don't see at the moment how this helps her in the Electoral College. I'm just following up on points you've already made. There's no doubt in my mind right now. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I would put all of my money, and that ain't much. I'd put all 12 cents on the fact that Kamala wins the popular vote. I sense that.
Yeah.
No different than Hillary Clinton some years ago. I sense that. To your point, it's that 270. And I don't see how this necessarily helps her in the Electoral College. And that always has to be part of the calculation. So in that regard, through that prism, what do you see? Because I don't get it.
I don't get it either. That's why I said I would have picked Shapiro, but that and a token will get you a ride on the subway. So to me, the electoral calculation was Shapiro. Now, the thing about it is, and Tavis, you and I have discussed this in text. I don't think Donald Trump is counting on any of it. Did you hear him in the Georgia rally?
Yeah, I saw that.
Where he introduced an election worker he said was in the bag to not certify at the local level, and they're trying to pass a rule that in Georgia, local county elections officials can stop the state tally and certification. If that rule passes, he's trying to line up so it doesn't matter whether he wins the votes or not.
Yeah.
He's actually going to block the certification so that the nation won't know who won, and he can toss us into more of his continuing insurrection.
Yeah. So the flip side of the Shapiro thing, again, playing devil's advocate here, the flip side of the Shapiro argument for me is that while he might have brought you Pennsylvania, he's very popular in that state. He also had more baggage, I think, than Tim Walz. And sometimes opportunities pass you by because the timing is just wrong. And I think that what they calculated was, given the moment that we are in, to your point, the frame that we are in, particularly in the Middle East, now is not the right time to be picking a Jewish running mate. Let's just call it what it is, given the fact that her husband is also Jewish. This thing may very well explode in the Middle East any moment now, any day now. The president and the vice president were briefed in the Situation Room yesterday, and everybody's bracing. It's not a matter of if, but when. It's about to blow up in the Middle East, and I think that in part, the timing, and we all saw the video, viral video of him pushing back on protesters. I just think the timing was wrong for Mr. Shapiro. Your thoughts?
I actually think the timing would have been right.
Okay.
You want somebody with that background to go to the Middle East and deal with it, with her.
Mm-hmm.
So, my instinct was the opposite. And his position on the Israeli-Gaza fiasco is no different from Kamala Harris's or any of the other vice president candidates, and is more progressive than Biden's. So
that ain't hard to do, though. That last point.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But I'm just looking at the practical frame we're in right now on that issue. Right now, this country backs Israel, and that's the policy.
Yeah.
Now, within that, I think Kamala Harris came out after the meeting with Netanyahu and hit for the first time. She was not going to be silent about the horrific 40,000, Palestinians being slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
She was not going to be silent on that. So that's a step away from Biden. But we won't ever know.
Yeah, of course
but
not.
my instinct is to always fly straight into the fray when it gets this messy. Just, I think he could have been an asset, but you also could have been right. I just think my instinct would have been, put him in there.
So at the end of this conversation here, I think we both agree on this. Again, I'm pushing because I want to just take Connie's temperature on all these issues. My sense is, though, that in the end, you and I agree, it is a solid pick. That's the best word I can come up with. It's a solid pick. Do we agree on that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, base hit.
Yeah. Connie sticks to her guns, man. She got it a base hit. It's solid, but it's just a base hit. Sometimes, Connie, a base hit is all you need. I mean, you can't swing for the fences all the time, Connie.
Yeah, always swing for the fences, Terry.
Sometimes you just want to get on base. Anyway, the rally was today. We heard at different times in different markets across the country, but I can tell you that at 5:30 p.m. Tuesday today, Vice President Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will appear together for the first time as presidential running mates, or president and vice presidential running mates, today at Temple University in Philadelphia, and then they start a swing of a number of states, including Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Those are the places they're going according to Politico all this week long. So we will get our feel of Harris and Walz. So let me go get I'm a collector of memorabilia, so I got to go get my Harris-Walz memorabilia, the bumper stickers, and I keep all this stuff. So I got to get out of here today and go find me some paraphernalia to put in my collection. Anyway, Connie, we will talk many times, of course, between now and November and see how this shakes out. But it is official. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is the running mate of Vice President Kamala Harris. Connie, as always, talk to you soon. Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
When we come forward, speaking of our running mates, Melina Abdullah, Dr. Melina Abdullah is the running mate for Cornel West, running on the independent ticket. And we'll talk to Melina Abdullah about all things politics when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Colorado Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Now, this major story here on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Vice President Kamala Harris has picked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. The 60-year-old Democrat served in the House for 12 years before he was elected governor of the North Star State in 2018 and re-elected in 2022. The U.S. Border Patrol is launching an investigation after Debbie made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane and washed ashore 70 pounds of cocaine. A Good Samaritan made the discovery yesterday morning in the Florida Keys. New Jersey is mourning the passing of the first black justice to serve on the state Supreme Court. In a statement, Governor Murphy and Acting Governor Way called James H. Coleman Jr. a lifelong trailblazer, pointing out that he was the son of a sharecropper in racially segregated Virginia. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Looking for a better way to get around LA? SoCal 511 gives you real-time traffic alerts to help you find faster ways around LA County so you can enjoy more time with family, friends, and doing things that matter to you. Visit SoCal511.com or dial 511 on your phone.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A new statue honoring Jackie Robinson, Major League Baseball's first black player, was unveiled Monday afternoon in Wichita, Kansas. The statue was rebuilt and upgraded after it was stolen and vandalized in January. At least 300 people attended the ceremony. Former New York Yankees pitcher C.C. Sabathia and Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, were among the speakers. Robinson's statue is on display at McAdams Park in Wichita, where more than 600 kids play Little League Baseball. The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team is back on the court today. They take on Brazil in a quarterfinal matchup in Paris. 12:30 p.m. tip-off on NBC and the Peacock Network. The U.S. women's basketball team is back in action Wednesday against Nigeria. The Dodgers beat Philadelphia last night for their third straight win. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 in my garage after I overpaid for new blinds. I researched the industry, hired my mom, and 14 years later, we're one of the largest retailers of custom blinds in the U.S. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
but it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Have you noticed the hype around retinol lately? It's all over my social media. But did you know you can get retinol in a body wash? Amazing, right? Olay Retinol Body Wash is packed with moisturizing vitamin B3 complex plus retinol to transform dry skin to visibly renewed in just 14 days. Try it the next time you shower and see the difference for yourself with Olay Retinol Body Wash for visibly renewed skin in just 14 days. And try Olay Retinol 24 Body Lotion.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Our guest now, as promised, Dr. Melina Abdullah, who is the running mate with Dr. Cornel West. In case you just tuned in or have not heard, Kamala Harris made her announcement today that Governor Tim Walz is, at least, I don't know if she's actually officially, as I'm talking right now, I don't know that she's officially made that announcement, but the story is out. She has made it? Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm looking at my producer giving me the thumbs up sign. So it is official. They have confirmed that Tim Walz is the running mate governor of Minnesota. They will appear today for the first time in Philadelphia. And then they're off, as I said earlier, to Wisconsin and North Carolina and Nevada and a few other places, Arizona. They'll be out all this week campaigning together. So Tim Walz is the running mate for Kamala Harris, and Dr. Melina Abdullah, BLM, in Cal State, LA, and 1,000 other things she's done in her career, is the running mate for Dr. Cornel West. I have not seen you in a long time. Melina Abdullah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great and feel very blessed to be here with you.
It's good to see you in person, and I'm delighted for this half hour to talk with you. Let me just start with this. Before I get to Tim Walz as her running mate, I want to talk about you being Dr. West's running mate. And I've seen Dr. West, but I've not seen you since Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee and now the official nominee. She crossed the finish line, as you know, last weekend with that virtual Democratic roll call. So my first question is this: what kind of pressure, and you don't have to own that word, you obviously have your own vocabulary, is my question. What kind of pressure have you and Dr. West felt to stand down in your run, given that there is now another African American at the top of one of the major tickets? I can't imagine that some folk at least haven't been saying, okay, hey, we understand what y'all were doing, we understand why you got in, but the frame that we're in now is a little bit different because it ain't two old white guys now. There's a sister running, and in your case, she's your sorority sister. She's from California, et cetera, et cetera.
We
et cetera.
both went to Howard,
Yeah,
both AKAs,
exactly.
both from Oakland. Right, but we couldn't be more different in terms of where we are politically, right? So she's a mainstream liberal, and I define myself as a revolutionary, as an abolitionist. And so we landed in two different spaces. I think that when she was announced, it made the struggle to gain ballot access and to advance our platform of truth, justice, and love a little bit more challenging. And we had to kind of think about how we approach things, because we know, you know, what happens when there's a viable candidate that represents Black community, that there is an emotionalism that goes into it. My mother, who is, you know, the most important, you know this about me too, the most important person in my life, right? My mother, who's wholeheartedly given her teacher retirement to support the campaign, support Black Lives Matter, right? My mother called me and said, I don't know how to not be enthusiastic, but you're my daughter. And then said, and do you know your aunties wanted me to be on this Zoom call for Kamala? And I said, do you know my daughter is running? I'm not doing that, right? But we did have conversation about not condemning, especially Black people, for feeling enthusiastic. And I think that there's a time for emotionalism. There's a time for your heart to dance. But then we also have to come back to, well, what is her platform? And so we're calling people back to, what is her platform? And we know that Kamala Harris is a supporter of Israel, even in the midst of this atrocious genocide, right? We know that Kamala Harris even backed away from health care for all and Medicare for all, right? We know that Kamala Harris has not been strong on holding police accountable. And so these are all of the things that we need to continue to lift up. She's been vocal about being anti-reparations. And so we need to say, yes, we can feel a way. We can, not deny that there's an emotionalism to it and that sometimes our hearts need the space to dance. But then eventually we have to remember that emotions make wonderful followers but terrible leaders.
David Axelrod, who, as you know, ran Obama's campaign in 2008, has referred to all this enthusiasm as irrational exuberance. That was his phrase of the day. And he's a Democrat, ran Obama's campaign, as I said, successfully. And he obviously is supporting Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. But the enthusiasm he called an irrational exuberance, that this race is still tight. He said it's still Donald Trump's to lose. So his take on the enthusiasm was a bit different than yours. But I take your point. Let me just ask you this, because there's been so much back and forth about this, and I've been anxious to talk to you about it because you know this. This is your lane. You know this better than anybody else. Unpack for me more about her police record, because her time as DA is going to get a lot more scrutiny. And it is fascinating to me for black people to care so much about police issues, to care so much about police violence. I know that because I saw the schedule, you and Dr. West are headed to Missouri this week, I think, for the 10th anniversary of the murder of Michael Brown. So these issues, there's the Sonia Massey case that I've been hearing you talk about. I mean, these issues matter to black people, no question about it. And yet we ran so fast to Kamala Harris without interrogating the record. And again, so there's a great debate about it, and you know it better than I do, but just give me more about the way you view her record as DA on police issues involving black people.
Right. So Kamala Harris, both when she was DA and when she was Attorney General, was very pro-cop. And I know some of the young people, especially the young leftists, would call her KAMALA. Right? It's really important that we understand that she did believe in criminalizing and practiced criminalizing black people and poor people. And I know that there's folks who are saying, well, she didn't lock up tens of thousands of black men. It was only 1,900, right? And it's really important that we understand that you can't joke about personally using weed and then charge black men for
using weed,
right? We have to remember, and this one brother who I've seen, you've probably seen on social media a lot, where she advocated for him to be put to death, right? That evidence, there was evidence there demonstrating his innocence, and she wanted to be a prosecutor and win rather than doing what's right. Yeah. And so it's important that we understand that record. We understand the record of criminalizing black parents for truancy, right? The truancy of their children and what all of that means. And at the same time, and I always said I don't want to, when we say our platform is truth, justice, and love, I also want to be 100% truthful. That when she was Attorney General, there was some good stuff that she did. And so she built this thing called the Open Justice Desktop in California, which for the first time gave us a glimpse into the violence that was happening in California state prisons. Not as far as it needed to go, but there were some good things. She would do things like meet with us, even if we wouldn't win what we were supposed to win. And now we know that the Democratic Party, that was actually in their playbook, that you should meet with Black Lives Matter and don't give them anything. And that's kind of what we got with Kamala Harris. But Kamala Harris is absolutely on the side of the kind of policing that we have now that kills black people, especially with impunity. And we need to push everyone to remember that police need to be held more accountable, not less.
Yeah. Faraji, I'm talking to my producer here. Find that clip. This thing has come to my phone 1,000 times. Kamala Harris, people keep reminding me. I've done so much in my career, been blessed to do so much, I've forgotten about this. But I'm the one that introduced Kamala to the nation. I first put her out there on a panel at State of the Black Union.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. You've seen it?
It's been on my Instagram 27,000 times.
Yeah,
yes.
so I got to find that clip. Let me know what the length is. If I have time, I'll play it for the audience and let Melina respond to what Kamala said on our panel many years ago when I put her out there for the nation to see her. I didn't even recall. I had forgotten that I had Kamala on the panel, but the internet never dies.
Right, that's right.
So if you've done so much in your career, people remind you all the time. So when we come forward, if I have time, I'll play that clip and get Melina to comment on it. But what I do want to talk about specifically when we come forward is the way forward. Given that Kamala is now the nominee and she is a black woman and all the stuff we've talked about, how do you and Dr. West, your running mate, your partner, see your path forward? We'll talk about that part with Dr. Melina Abdullah, running mate of Dr. Cornel West, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
All right, we found it. Miles, give me the clip of Kamala Harris on the stage at State of the Black Union many, many years ago.
Nobody cares about the fact that we've got a bunch of young black and brown men in prison. That argument is not working. What I suggest we do as African Americans is own this issue in law enforcement and then define it in the way that works for us, because it is a myth to say that African Americans don't want law enforcement. We do. We want our grandmothers to be able to walk to church and be safe. We want our babies to be able to walk to the park and be safe. What we don't want is racial profiling. What we don't want is excessive force. That's right. What we don't want is to have our civil liberties and civil rights be stripped. But we do want law enforcement. So let's define it in the way that works for us by saying, I want community policing. I want a police department that works in my neighborhood and in my community that reflects the mores and the culture and respects My grandmother, again, when they walk in to talk to her, I want a system of accountability in the criminal justice system that says law enforcement needs to own crime prevention as much as it talks about long sentences. Because nationally, only 18% of serious crime results in an arrest. So if I, as law enforcement, with my responsibility to keep you safe, only talk about keeping you safe by sending people to prison for a long time, I'm necessarily going to fall short because the vast majority of that crime's not even hitting my system. So if I'm going to keep my promise to you to keep you safe, I better talk with you about what I'm doing in terms of crime.
Melina will get a kick out of this because Melina is a huge, huge, huge Prince Rogers Nelson fan. And every time I have people send stuff to my phone, I laugh. I like, if y'all Negroes were paying me my licensing fees for passing my clips around the internet, I'd be independently wealthy. Just on my Prince clips and my Kamala Harris clip now, I'd be independently wealthy, people passing it around. Anyway, that said, what did you hear in that clip?
Right. What I heard in that clip is one, untruths, right? The idea that black people want police to keep them safe or police to offer crime prevention is absolutely not true. Right? What black people want is the resources in community that prevent crime. So the resources like housing, right? In fact, when we did our survey, people's budget survey, the number one thing that black people want to invest in is housing and then mental health resources. Police are not equipped to offer either of those things. And so, yes, we want police to be held accountable when they mess up, which is often, right? But really what black people understand, I think more than any other group, is that crime prevention and safe communities begin with investment in those communities.
Every time I see another Sonia Massey case, I think of you immediately. Every time this happens, my mind goes straight to you. I say this sincerely, not to gas you up or gaslight you, but I think of you all the time because you have made this case better than anybody in the country, that there, and BLM more broadly, that there's some things police just ought not to be called to do.
That's right.
They just shouldn't be there.
That's right.
If the police weren't there, Sonia Massey would still be alive. It's just that simple.
And here in Los Angeles, we remember Niani Finlayson was killed almost in an identical way, right, in December of last year. And so we see this happening all over the country, that they say, here, toss it to police. Police are not equipped to do that. We don't want them to do that. We want mental health workers. We want education workers, all of these things that make our communities rich and safe.
When we come forward in our remaining moments with Dr. Melina Abdullah, running mate of Dr. Cornel West for President Vice President of the United States, I will ask her what the path forward looks like. So long as they stay in the race, Dr. West and Dr. Melina, what does the path, Dr. Melina Abdullah, I should say, what does the path forward look like now that there's a black woman running for president on the Democratic Party ticket? Her running mate now is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say, when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
All right, Dr. Abdullah, 4 minutes left. I'll give every minute of it to you. What does the path forward look like for you and Dr. West, or Dr. West and you?
So I just got off the phone with him on the way here, and he always reminds us how important it is to stay in this until the very end. He's always so hopeful and visionary about what this offers. And I always also think about Charlotta Bass, who says, win or lose, we win by raising the issues. What the West Abdullah ticket means is we have an opportunity to radically imagine the world that we want to build, right? In contrast to the fear-mongering that's happening around things like Project 2025, our platform seeks to build Vision 2025. What do we want? What are we building towards? What do educational systems look like? What does body autonomy feel like? What does it mean to have racial justice and justice for people with disabilities? What does it mean to not only say ceasefire now, but demand a free Palestine? What does it mean to divest from spending 62% of every dollar on war when we could be using that to provide the resources that our communities so woefully need and want and demand, right? So this is where we're going with the campaign, and we're encouraging everybody to come along with us to vote their vision, not their fear. We're also reminding people that it's also a strategic vote, especially in states like California. You don't have to worry about the state going to Trump. California is not going to Trump. But when you invest in third parties and say, I'm going to vote my vision because I believe in reparations, and the West Abdullah ticket stands for real reparations, right? Then you actually expand the options that are on the ballot, not just in 2024, but moving forward. And that's what we need if we believe in democracy, which is choice, right? The United States is so narrow in its definition of what it means to have choice. Even relatively new democracies like South Africa had 10 viable candidates on their last presidential ballot. And so that's what we're seeking to do. And we want people to come along with us. They can follow at CornellWest2024.com.
I think I heard you say, just to clarify here, I think I heard you say that you all are in it to win it. You're in it to the end.
In it to win it, in it to the end. We don't have no money,
yeah,
but we got people power. We got people power. And look, that's how things have been made. That's how things have been transformed when we invest deeply, whatever we got, right, into campaigns and efforts. That's how we win.
I asked Dr. Abdullah that question because I can tell you now, not what I've heard, but what I know. I know that the pressure is increasing from the party for Dr. West to make a decision to stand down. And that makes a statement in and of itself. I'll just leave it there. But I know the pressure on him is getting more and more intense by the day. But you hear his running mate, Dr. Abdullah, say they are in it to win it. They are in it to the end. So there you have it. Dr. Abdullah, it's always good to see you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All the best in the race. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Now, this major story here on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Vice President Kamala Harris has picked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. The 60-year-old Democrat served in the House for 12 years.